Hello and welcome to Two Cooks One Pot. Today we're making sun-dried tomato and provolone scones. I've got flour, aluminum-free baking powder, and a little pinch of salt, and to that I'm adding our cubed butter. Follow the link below the video for the full ingredient amounts and recipe. I'm just using the pastry blender to cut the butter up into smaller pieces, and it's going to have sort of a small gravelly texture when I'm done. And now we'll move on to our sun-dried tomatoes. These generally come packed two different ways, packed in oil or dry packed. Mine are dry packed. If you get the ones packed in oil, just simply drain the oil before you dice your sun-dried tomatoes. Next we'll move on to the provolone cheese. You can get provolone cheese at just about any supermarket's deli department. Ask them to slice you a single 8-ounce piece to use for this recipe. It's just a lot easier to work with than a bunch of really thinly sliced pieces of cheese. Next we'll add our sun-dried tomatoes to the flour mixture as well as the diced provolone cheese before giving it a quick mix with our hands and moving on to the wet ingredients, which simply consist of whole milk and a single egg. Give that a quick stir, pour it into the flour mixture, and combine it until there aren't any dry spots left in your mix. This is going to make a pretty wet dough, but a very tender scone. Because this is such a wet dough, you want to thoroughly flour your work surface before working the dough into a rectangular shape about 3/4 or an inch thick. 3/4 to an inch thick is, for me, about 2 fingers in height. This recipe makes a dozen large scones, so I'm going to start with 6 squares and then turn those 6 squares into 12 triangles. Bake your scones at 375 degrees for 17 to 20 minutes until they look like this. You'll notice that the provolone cheese is melted out quite a bit. You can trim that off of your scones, but what I like to do is actually just tuck the cheese underneath the scone when I'm plating it. It just gives you a little bit of extra texture to it when you bite it. Another optional step that you can do, what I'm doing here, is melting about a tablespoon of butter and brushing it over the top of the scones before serving. The sun-dried tomatoes add a nice touch of acid to the flavor of this, and the provolone cheese, although quite a bit melted out, it's still a lot of cheese in there. Very tasty, very flaky, very soft. I hope you'll give these scones a try. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.